It is election night and the votes are being counted as we speak across the inland Northwest. We already have some preliminary results and have plenty more to get to tonight. Good evening and thank you for joining us for the KREM 2 Night Report. I'm Mark Hanrahan. We start with team coverage tonight. We have crews across eastern Washington and North Idaho covering some of the highest profile races across the inland Northwest. KREM 2 Shannon Mounty is downtown covering the joint Together Spokane initiative. Also in downtown Spokane tonight, KREM 2's Cody Proctor at a watch party for Spokane City Council where 3 seats are up for grabs tonight. Meantime, KREM 2's Connor McAvoy is at the Cooney County Elections Office over in North Idaho covering some of the key races, including the race for Coeur d'Alene Mayor. All right, moving to the race for Spokane City Council, we start with District 3. Current council member Zach Sapone running against Christopher Savage. Right now, Sapone is leading with about 54% of the vote. Meantime, Savage trailing with 45%. Now for the race for District 2, where newcomers Katie Tellis and Alejandro Barrientos are running for the open council seat. Kate Tellis taking a big lead with 60% of the vote right now. Barrientos behind her with about 38%. Now to the final and closest race for City Council. District number 1, candidate Sarah Dixit is taking on incumbent Jonathan Bingle. Right now, Dixit only trailing Bingle by about 202 votes tonight. So we'll keep a close eye on that one moving forward. And covering that race tonight is KREM 2's Cody Proctor, who was at Sarah Dixit and Jonathan Bingle's watch parties tonight. Cody, how are the candidates feeling tonight?
Well, Mark, if there is one way to really describe how these candidates are feeling, both are feeling rather confident. Now, as you mentioned, Councilmember Jonathan Bingle is the incumbent. Sarah Dixit is his opponent. Now, Bingle is in the lead, as you mentioned, but just like you said right there, only by a very slim margin. They are only separated by about 200 votes. Now, I have been to both watch parties where they had results up on the wall and have been keeping a close eye on those results as they came in. Both, again, say they are very confident and feeling positive, but Councilmember Bingle did say he was initially surprised.
I feel really good. You know, we're up a couple hundred votes, and, you know, most of the votes are in. I expect that lead to hold, and so looking forward to the next 4 years.
Yeah, I'm feeling really encouraged with how close the race is. You know, it's closest of the races that we're seeing right now, so just really trying to continue to push and make sure we're getting those ballots to make sure they count.
Now, again, Bingle is in the lead tonight, but this is only by a small margin. He is just under 51%. Dixit has just over 48%. To put that in perspective, again, that is only about a margin of about 200 votes. And this is the initial drop of results. We'll continue to keep a close eye on these races as those results continue to come in, especially with how close this one is. Reporting live in Hilliard, Cody Proctor, KREM 2 News.
All right, Cody, thank you very much. Meantime, 2 big initiatives on the ballot this year are the Spokane Public Schools Bond and the Spokane Parks Levy. The school district and Parks Department partnered up for this vote, calling it the Together Spokane Initiative. So let's take a look at both tonight. First, taking a look at the Parks Levy. Right now, that is passing by 54%. Again, that is currently passing. Only 50% is required for the levy. That's the $240 million levy. All right, now let's take a look at the Spokane Public Schools Bond. It is also passing with a little more than 60% voting yes. Bonds do require 60% approval in order to pass, so we will certainly be keeping a close eye on this one as more votes are tallied. At this hour, preliminary results show a bond for Spokane Public Schools and the City Parks Levy again passing. Those 2 tax measures known as Together Spokane. KREM 2 Shannon Mounty shows us the reaction to these unofficial results at the joint watch party.
It was cheers and excitement here at Spokane's Steam Plant restaurant as preliminary results rolled in Tuesday night, showing that both measures under Together Spokane are passing. State Senator Marcus Riccelli, a supporter for Together Spokane, says now the hard work begins. The results will not be certified until later this month, but organizers from the school district and Parks Department say this is the culmination of months of hard work. They say they raised more than $280,000 to campaign and knocked on more than 6,100 doors. For Spokane schools, if final results show voters approve the bond, work will start immediately on a new Adams Elementary.
Kids will actually transition to Camp Adams, the old old Jefferson Elementary in December. That transition will happen right away. That's how needed this construction project was.
And the Parks Department will start its first phase of a 20-year plan to update all park facilities, starting with additions to security and maintenance.
We want to get at least the first round of additional park rangers on board the first quarter of 2026 to get them hired out in our parks, out in our community for proactive patrolling. We'll have a series of new restroom facilities and playgrounds that will be installed. And then the first new park in Meadow Glen, North Indian Trail, will start construction in 2026 as well.
Those behind Together Spokane say that these preliminary results are not the end. They plan to, quote, chase down ballots. Shannon Mowdy, KREM 2 News.
Washington voters also got the choice to choose whether or not the state can invest money from the Washington Cares Fund more broadly. Right now, that measure is passing 56 to 43% tonight. And we are rounding out our election coverage tonight, heading out to Kootenai County, where KREM 2's Connor McAvoy is tracking the key races there tonight. Connor, good evening.
Yeah, good evening, Mark. Well, the dust has definitely settled here outside of the Kootenai County Elections Office. Plenty of folks from across multiple precincts in the county were dropping off ballots, and folks inside there locked the doors at 8 and they're still counting them. But here are those preliminary results for multiple positions in Coeur d'Alene and in Post Falls that we know right now. We do know that for the Coeur d'Alene mayoral race, we're looking at Dan. Over 37% of the total amount of votes that have been cast as of right now with these preliminary results. Moving over to Post Falls, their mayoral race, candidate Ronald G. Jacobson looks to be leading at a little under 40% of that vote, beating out as two opponents at a little over 100 votes for each of them. And then moving over back to Coeur d'Alene City Council seat 2, that race, candidate Amy Evans is currently leading by a wide margin, a little over double of the vote at 66% against her candidate Jeff Doc Larson at around 33%. Coeur d'Alene City Council seat 6, as far as that race goes, currently candidate Kiki Miller is leading the margin by a little over 57% of the initial vote. And then moving back over to Post Falls for their City Council seat 2, right now it's a little close of a race, but currently James Stephenson is leading by just a little over 50% of the vote, while his opponent Aaron Plew is currently at a little over, I should say, 49% of the vote. And for Post Falls City Council seat 6, currently Mark Luca is currently leading, but not by a lot, a little over 45% of the vote, while his opponent Ryan Davis is currently seeing a little over 44% of that total vote, just by a separation of about 18 votes or so. Now, of course, these are all preliminary results, and folks inside there are going to be counting ballots all throughout the night. We'll continue following those results as they become available. In Kootenai County tonight, Connor McAvoy, KREM 2 News.